Hey, this is March 26th, 2021. This is part of the Critical Thinking series. The train accident in Egypt, although we don't know right now, at the time that I'm recording this, the exact causes and if it was done deliberately and for what reasons, but what we know is that there's been problems with the train system and infrastructure for decades. So, and the people over there are rebelling now because they're tired of wondering where their tax dollars are going. So again, this is a flaw in the thinking of your species, the Homo communia, the people primates, where greed, which is so common, it's a form of, a majority cultural mental illness that affects almost every politician and people that think economics is a form of religion when it's an evolutionary dead end. So, the people in charge there, don't know who they are, don't know much about there, but I can pretty much tell you that there are experts in the world, whether in Egypt or outside, they would be very happy to come in, and they won't need to be paid, triple their salary to do their job that they would probably enjoy and fix these things. But they're not being done, right? It's a flaw. It's a flaw in the thinking. Suez Canal. Come on, people. I've just seen recent pictures of the boat. And what should have been done within 5-6 hours, because there are experts that tell you, yeah, that's not likely to succeed, you're taking a chance, and then it'll have these negative consequences. Well, just like the train in Egypt, the Suez Canal backup is going to impact, the poor people. The poor people always pay the bigger prices with these errors from the elites. Because it's not like any elites that are moving their money around or their product and that are responsible for these things, or their insurance companies. It's not like the elites are suddenly going to be living in a big house and then they'll become homeless. So that's not going to happen to them. But the people that are poor and that need, let's say, medicines or equipment, or that, can't afford even to feed their family if the price of gas goes up a little bit more, because their governments aren't kind of balancing things out, because it's always about pushing money up and the poor going down. So it's crazy to see that you haven't been taken off containers off this boat, at least half of the containers, and lightening up the boat way at the beginning. And the reason you're not doing that is your greed is preventing you from using common sense and the scientific paradigm, and it's very sad to see. The refugees entering the south of the United States, I feel bad for Biden, but I don't think he realizes that he's caught in a catch-22, and it's going to be part of his legacy in a big way, because there's things happening right now where, getting the offspring, right, the children of people whose parents may never see them again, and accepting them and refusing certain others. And I'm not criticizing Biden's strategy at this time, because he's president at a time where this is happening and it's not going to get better. And out of all, again, the candidates that may have wanted the job, he's likely the one to do a better job. But still, it's a losing battle job. There's no good things that come out of this, because again, there's a balance of ideologies in there that don't make sense, that don't address the problems. The train, the Suez Canal, refugees, the virus. Nobody's addressing the problems. And when you celebrate your tiny little successes without acknowledging that you took more steps backwards, for example, not admitting economics is an evolutionary dead end, the way you're doing your politics, saying, oh, our democracy has been attacked. You don't even act 10% the way somebody with a gigantic brain would act in the ideology of democracy. Your nonsense to not admit how disconnected from reality you are. While bacteria or viruses are connected to reality, they're the natural world. They are where you live. The natural world, not in these imaginary magical paradigms. So a year ago I said bravo Canada, but I knew Canada's patterns would be not likely to take as much steps forwards as backwards, as well as other nations. And it's going to look very different. And a lot of countries will say, oh, we learned so much from this pandemic, and the ones that are coming are going to be worse. And what they learned is just a tiny bit forward, and again, not realizing that they're taking more steps backwards without having the right conversations about the right things, such as family planning. Okay, how today, again, how long countries might say they've had a great civilization when they haven't, is again, most people in the world, most adult children, let's call them, have kids of their own without having thought it through. Now, you are a species majoritively that acts like this, which is one of the many signs, if somebody looks at you, the Homo communia, from the outside perspective, is one of the many signs that you are not even in the top 10 smartest species on this planet. Because it's not about the theory, illusion of who you want to be, or the good intentions of who you want to be, and how when somebody's being caught being dishonest, like the Chinese government is, then they'll say, no, you're dishonest. That's 3-year-old behavior. You're doing 3-year-old behavior after your supposed civilization of 5,000 years. Now, if people are not having these conversations, I can tell you again, like I wrote in my time capsule contribution about 9 years ago, where I had suggested solutions of ways to act that would stop you repeating these failed cycles of crashing your proto-civilizations, then I know I'm not going to change my projections for what probably is coming in the future. Viruses and bacteria can evolve within days. You're mammals, you're primates. It takes more time. Now, you have an advantage with science, but it's not the kind of advantage you have, and it has to be your ideology is science, and it's not. It's politics, it's economics, it's religions of all sorts that are so disconnected from reality that even if you were experts at your science, you would not apply them properly. You don't even see yourselves as who you are properly, and your disconnection from the real world, the natural world. So again, too many steps backwards. Now, there's so many fights around the world now, people trying to reclaim their democracy, or a political party trying to win over the other. But what you're not admitting again is you, in all countries, have a majority of specialists, either in politics or in education or in mental health, that are surviving one day at a time. And even when they're not in survival mode, they're not as competent as they need to be during this time of modernity. So again, you can go places where there's a new building, there's a new person that got the contract to supply mental health services, and they're incredibly incompetent. There's a new school being built, all the walls have these painting. It's so beautiful to look at the paintings, but again, even if the educators dress nice, they're not trained. And guess what? The people that trained them were not trained. So every generation it's getting worse, and again, you're not having these conversations. You're all trying to get back to the status quo that was actually you being in the process of crashing your current proto-civilization in a slow way, like a slow suicide, and having unplanned children at the same time that will suffer more. No species has ever in the history of species on this planet been as cruel as you are to your own offspring. It's one of the reasons I cry many times a week, is just knowing how disconnected to reality you are, and how you're teaching your kids to be disconnected without, the human thinking tools to solve the problems of their generation, if they ever overcame the amazing miracle of suddenly not being disconnected from reality. And I don't know how they could be if their parents and grandparents are alive, because they wouldn't allow it. Because they say, no, that's not the way I raised you. I raised you to be disconnected from reality. So it's pretty sad. So whoever wins in politics, if there's an election or taking back power in this way, whether there's war or whether there's this supposed way that you think democracy has to be done, it's still going to be more incompetent people that are disconnected from reality that are going to be in charge of your societies. So I can post here some of the comments below this video about what I suggested 9 years ago. Okay, see what you do with it.